Brock Purdy was a full participant in the Niners' last two practices, and the Niners list him as questionable for tomorrow's game against the Bills. Should he play or should the Niners sit him? We'll discuss that more next on Coach's Meeting. What's up? Good morning. Good afternoon if you're on the East Coast like Coach and I are. That's the Coach. I'm Grant Cohn. This is the Coach's Meeting. I'm holed up in Airbnb in Buffalo in an undisclosed location. Coach is in the Coach's Huddle. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Over here at the Coach's Huddle, based out of Greater Washington, D.C. area, for those who need to know. I'm doing good, Grant. We're 5-6. We're coming up against a team that basically has everything going for themselves in the 9-2 Buffalo Bills. They're second in their conference. They're first in their division. And right about now, they're actually getting some of the guys back that they've been missing for the current year. So it's awesome. Everything is awesome with the 49ers.
And when you say number two in their conference, they beat the number one team in their conference. You could argue that the Bills really are the class of the AFC. They haven't proven it in the playoffs yet, but this is a really tough game. They're coming off a bye. Their head coach, Sean McDermott, 7-0, coming off a bye. He's an Andy Reid disciple. The Niners are in their second consecutive cross-country road game. It's going to be tough. No Bosa, no Trent Williams, no Aaron Banks, no Jordan Elliott, no Deommodore Lenoir. They're banged up. But Brock Purdy is going to try to gut it out and play because obviously he gives the Niners the best chance to win. Do you think it's worth it? Should he play if he's healthy?
All right. So at first I said yes, because I want to give Brock credit here. He's clearly, it's not that we needed this game to see it, but he's clearly a starter in the NFL. All right. Mm-hmm. And it's a clear difference with him not being a quarterback versus Brandon Allen or anybody else being a quarterback. It's different. All right. So for that, yeah, I understand that. And then also, if you want to look at and say, something along the lines of his contract years is at stake, so he needs to be playing as much as possible. We need to remember that the Niners do not have to sign Brock. This isn't a make it or break it year where he has to get paid, that we have to get to the negotiation table. Ideally, it would be nice, but it's not something that has to be done. Thirdly, the injuries that you just mentioned, if Brock is what they say he is, if they see him as a starter and the money that we're talking about is franchise money, then you have to start looking at his protection moving forward into this game. I mean, the defense that we're coming up against, these guys are for real. We're playing against a real team. They're a buzzsaw of a team that do not care about us. The entire mantra for the Buffalo Bills this entire week is not letting us get a trap game. They know how desperate we are, and they're coming here they've got bigger fish to fry other than us saving our season. The only reason why I bring that up is because there's a possibility of not only having Trent gone, but Aaron Banks as well. The entire left side of that offensive line is going to be gone. Potentially. And I shudder to think, Brock has had 2 injuries on his throwing arm. We're talking about the future of what he's supposed to be doing for this franchise and by way of the contract coming up. And I am kind of changing my mind. I do think that maybe it'd be best for us to see what Josh Dobbs can do. But I get it. That's not the way we do things here with the 49ers. Brock will play if he can go. But I'll close with this. If he does play, which he will, I think that he needs to be playing with a short leash. If this thing gets out of hand, I think he's got to get yanked immediately. We can't have him out there getting hurt.
You make a lot of sense, man. I want to feel like the Niners are sandbagging this one, and what they're doing is it's a Sunday night game, and they're trying to sell the game. They're like, yeah, Brock, he's questionable, but he's going to give it a go and tune in tonight because Brock Purdy's going to be there. You got his face on the advertisement, and then 90 minutes before the game, they're like, oh, he gave it a shot. He really wanted to play. He's not going to go. He can't go, but he felt great. But it just kind of tightened up on him a little bit, and he can't go. And this is Brandon Allen. Oh, everyone that tuned in, don't worry. That's kind of what I'm hoping here because It doesn't make sense. Like even if he hurt his shoulder and he's coming back quickly. He says he feels fine. It just feels like it's probably I don't know. It feels like it's a little compromise. And if he gets hit, you're missing the left side of the offensive line. You're asking for it to get hit again. I mean, the field could be completely frozen. He gets driven down. He's 6 feet tall. I don't like it. It seems like you're not going to win this game.
It's not. It's horrible.
You're not going to win this game. I mean, they're coming off a bye. It's not even fair. It's a scheduled loss. Even if Bosa and Trent Williams were out there, you probably lose. So you're going to throw him out there while like half the team is hurt just so he can run around? Like, I don't like it. It just seems like what they're trying to do is lose 42-17 as opposed to 42-9. And I don't think it's worth it.
And I think being able to get out of here with without Brock getting hurt is kind of like the biggest win that we can look for coming out of this game. Him getting hurt or possibly being down for the season. I will say that for you to get 2 MRIs, all right, and for you to miss a game, for you to be playing the very next week is a pretty quick turnaround. That's a huge turnaround, to be honest.
Like if they were, if they had 9 wins right now and it didn't really matter this game, would he be playing? Or is this like, we got to win this game? Because you can't make the decision if that's the overriding factor.
Do you believe there's a factor of posturing with the Niners where they just want to be seen working really hard, in a losing season, but ultimately they're going to make the business decision and sit them? Kind of what you said in the beginning, like, hey, they'll push the game day, right? And then we'll get that message of, oh, well, we got him outside, couldn't go, game time decision, moving on.
I got a theory. If they lose this game and Brandon Allen's the quarterback, the commentary, this is a nationally televised game. The commentary is Kyle Shanahan is doing a terrible job. This team is in shambles. But if Brock's out there and they lose, the commentary could be, boy, man, Brock isn't what he used to be. Like, is Brock really worth $60 million a year? How much is Brock worth? He can't elevate this team. Look at him in the it snows a little bit and he can't throw the ball. I mean, all of a sudden it changes the conversation completely, where it's all about Kyle to it might be at least 50% about Brock, maybe more.
Well, what's crazy is that as soon as you brought that up, I automatically tried to start like poking holes in it. And I was saying to myself, well, somebody's obviously going to bring up, well, he's coming off injury, but nobody's going to care about that. Nobody's, because what's going to come
against him.
Yeah.
He's just not durable.
He's not durable. Yeah. They won't look at it as, hey, man, he's not all the way back. They're going to be looking at it as, yeah, you know what else they'll mention?
They'll be like, look at Josh and look at Brock.
Now there's a time. Oh, yeah. If you want to know what $60 million looks like, it's look at the sideline over here with the Bills, not
correct
what's going on with the 49ers.
Oh my God.
And also, you can hear it now. It's just like, you would look for a guy like Brock Purdy to lead them with as many injuries as they have tonight. And he just seemed to not be able to get it done. This is a player that's supposed to be moving into his free agent year. And we're just going to have to see what Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers are going to do moving forward. But I got to tell you, Chris, I don't see it. Now, he's
5-6 this year. I mean, look at his numbers over his last 16, 17 starts. He had a great start to his career, but the last 17 games have been anything but $50 million a year. I just don't see how they could justify it.
And it's going to go. Suffice it for me to say, Brock Purdy has regressed to the mean. I mean, the fairy tale is over, folks. We've seen the level best of what he can do. But, in a game like today, where you really got to have it from the guy under center, the man who you're going to be paying all this money to, and one would even say that tonight was kind of a pseudo dress rehearsal for what Brock Purdy can be seeing into the future. And the fact that he can't get these type of games and even make them a fight, it's got to be alarming, John.
He's 0-2 against Patrick. He's 0-2 against Patrick Mahomes. He's 0-1 against Lamar Jackson, and now he's 0-1 against Josh Allen. I mean, if he can't beat these guys, he's never going to win a Super Bowl. And then what are you essentially paying for? Because the whole reason you moved on from Jimmy Garoppolo was that you could get over the hump. And Gus, Tony, Mike, I just don't know if they can get over the hump with Brock. He's a great story. I love the kid. But I just don't know.
Oh, my
so
God.
I really believe what was the conversation last week in Green Bay? Man, this team can't tackle. This team's unprepared. This team is really poorly coached in all 3 phases. What is going on? How is Brandon Allen the backup quarterback of this team? What is happening here? That was the conversation last week. That's not good.
I really believe, last week, we got to eat some crow, Grant. Last week, you and I both.
Oh, yeah.
We do. Last week.
He's going to be in his bag.
Did we not say that, bro?
Kyle's going to flip the switch and be good all of a sudden. We thought that.
Even we're giving him too much credit, bro. Yep. Like, I thought that just the situation alone would have had him say, you know what, I'm going for broke. I'm going to pull it all out. But the truth of the matter is that Kyle is a professional quiet quitter. Like, he knows how to do his level best to be able to be seen as if he's doing his job, but he's not going to do anything more to make sure that the results end up bringing him down. What did I say to you earlier today? I say Kyle is falling down from the tree of success, and he's grabbing every branch on the way down. He's grabbing everybody on the way down. He's not leaving one person to be able to be pushed to the side and say, well, hey, Kyle's the man, but I got protected here. No, Kyle's going to make sure that everybody gets highlighted. Go ahead, Grant.
And it's like, yo, Kyle, instead of rushing Brock Purdy back before he's probably ready in an impossible situation, why don't you just use all your running backs? How about that?
Yeah.
I mean, I know you want to all of a sudden give your team the best chance to win, which you didn't do last week in Green Bay. Like, you weren't going to beat Green Bay, but you didn't give the Niners their best chance to win. You're trying to do that now. Great. Brock Purdy's kind of hurt. Why don't you just use all your running backs? That would actually, in the snow, might be the best thing to do. Okay, let's switch gears a little bit. Defense. Okay. Dre Greenlaw working his way back, hasn't been activated yet. They're going a little bit slow with him. Mm-hmm. But if he's healthy, should he play in this game? Should he play in the next game? Like, as soon as he gets the green light, should they throw him in there?
No. I don't want to see him. He's not back. He's not ready. He had a severe injury coming off of the last game of the season. And in my opinion, you do that if Dre Greenlaw is the player away. If you're a player away, you do that for a Dre Greenlaw, right? If everything is clicking, but just it's not really coming together, right? That's when you make that. That's
like, hey, we just made the playoffs as a 5 seed, but now we got Greenlaw back.
Now we got Dre.
That's different.
Exactly. Yeah. Or, hey, season's on the line. We've done our level best to get us right down. We're in a control our destiny situation. It's week 18. We're in Arizona. Yeah. We got to win this game. You bring back Dre Greenlaw. You throw caution to the wind. There's nothing. But you don't do this on week 13 in the snow against a 9-2 team who is good at running the ball against a quarterback. You don't give Dre Greenlaw Josh Allen for his first game back in the snow on the road. You're almost asking for the man to re-injure or have something else tweaked while he's there. Also, you got to look at for what he is. Dre Greenlaw, we don't know what Dre Greenlaw is once he gets back. And what's crazy is that the 49ers don't know. We're all going to be watching the first Dre Greenlaw snaps together, right? And that's not a good thing. I don't believe that, if they're going to play Dre Greenlaw for some reason, call me crazy, but it doesn't seem as though that they have necessarily a backup plan if he does go down or if something happens with him. It doesn't seem like they're moving in that direction. Also is that he's got a free agency year coming up. I mean, I understand your last tape is your best tape, but I'd much rather go in with the cachet of who I am as a player than getting on the field in the middle of the season and then possibly showing something that's less than the standard of my career, of what I've been showing. I just don't think that him playing right now is actually a viable choice that can actually move the needle. We've got way too many issues on defense to think one guy can turn it around. So I would say no.
Yeah, and to me, it's like they're not playing him against Buffalo, which I like. And I think they should do the same thing with Brock because you're probably not going to win this game. The odds are severely against you. But if you win out, you probably make the playoffs. And so the focus should be absolutely winning the next 2 games at home against Chicago and the Rams. Those are 2 teams that are not good. Chicago just fired their coach. They're not bad, but Chicago just fired their coach, and the Rams are under 500. So you're going to play them back-to-back in about 4 days apart. One on Sunday, then quick turnaround. You got the Rams on Thursday night. Those are the games you can't lose those games. You can lose this game theoretically, but you absolutely cannot lose those 2 games. So I would say bring back Greenlaw if he's ready for the Rams game. I don't think you want him playing 2 games in 4 days in his first stretch back. But the Thursday game, he could play that one and then have a week and a half off before his next game. That seems to make sense. But, I mean, if they lose to the Bills and then the Bears, just shut it all down. It's over.
Yeah, I agree. Bills Bears shut it down. There's no reason to try to try to repurpose the city a season or salvage it. My biggest thing right now for them is just like I said, I want to see the true championship medal of this team. We've talked about this before. I truly don't believe that this team has learned how to lose. They don't know how to lose. They don't know how to have closure. They don't know how to have self-awareness, really do the hard work to be able to look themselves in the mirror and actually change things, rip band-aids off of tough situations and get things done in the now for the greater good of the future. So look, that's one thing that I think if they're going to salvage anything from this year, they need to learn how to flush it, move on, because every loss, if you think about it, every loss is almost like a Super Bowl loss as far as like response to how they are. Like there's denial. There's maybe one to two people that tell the truth, but it's only through frustration, right? Because they don't know how to cover it up. Then there's deflating. And then when we see in the next week, shit's not changed. The only thing that we can rely on the Niners doing is believing that what they do is going to be the reason why they win the next week. But it's not really adjustments. It's not really them actually kind of putting somebody or thrusting somebody into a position that they haven't seen before, giving us a wrinkle. I just don't see it, Grant.
Ivan Tina says 221 coaches have had 20 plus career games decided by 7 points or fewer. Matt Eberflus's 227 win percentage in those games ranks 221st. He is Kyle Jr. I wonder if the Bears are now a bigger threat in a week because Eberflus is gone.
100%. You know, guys like to galvanize once the man is out of the room. You know, the Oakland did it last year. Teams always do it, you know, because they're men. They want to be able to show that, you know, they're not controlled by one man.
Gold Tao says Brock hit his head hard AF on that low ceiling of his. Ooh, that's rough. Okay, let's switch gears. John Lynch did an interview with Matt Mayoko recently, and he was answering like what's going on with this team this year. And John Lynch, interestingly, found something specific yet diplomatic to say. He says, "Look, this team is really well coached. Really, you come to practice, you'll see a team that practices really hard and works really hard. It's just during the games, we lack discipline. We can't close. And we lack discipline in those closing moments," which, I mean, I'd have to agree with. And so when he says we're a well-coached team and we're undisciplined, what does that mean to you, Coach?
It means that the assistant coaches are doing their job, but Kyle sucks. We're going to get straight to it. You know what I mean? Like, it means that if you could say that we're a
Forster's good.
Kosaric is good. Love Johnny Holland. You know what I mean? These guys, class personified. Bobby Turner's man. Bullocks is the guy.
Yep.
But when it comes time to putting it all on the floor on game day and performing, they fall apart. And really, that's Kyle's job. You know, the head coach, the job of a head coach is to coach coaches. That's it. That's your job. You coach other coaches how to do their job, and then game day is yours. You get game day, right? It's almost like John Lynch and the developmental staff, they got to sit back and just give interviews all season. Why?
Because real quick, sorry, Kyle doesn't really do much coaching during the week. Like at those practices, what he does, you've seen him, he throws passes when the defense is working on their coverages, and then he calls plays during team drills. Like he's late to practice. They'll be out there doing special teams and all that stuff, and he's like still in his
strolling
meeting
out to practice, bro.
And then like when he gets out there, he's just warming up his arm, not watching anyone, not talking to anyone. Like it's time for him to throw. So his coaching, his biggest impact is on game day.
We have seen this, man. Like I listen, bro. Grant, we've seen this, man. Coach Forster coaches like he's broke. He coaches like a poor man. Coach Kosaric coaches like he just got the job. Okay, I sit back, I watch Coach Holland. They coach like I watch Bobby Turner in his 70s. I can watch Bobby Turner during practice and watch him visibly coaching, giving direction.
You know what Kyle coaches like? A guy who just got his 4th extension.
Yes, he does not move. He
Like, what are they
barely
gonna
breaks
do?
out of his frame. He only talks to who he wants to walk up to and speak to. He's never outside trying to coach anything up. He'll walk right. I've never seen Kyle for the entire practices that I was there. He didn't touch the receivers. He didn't touch them. Didn't even walk over there. Didn't touch the running backs. Nothing. The only time where Kyle gives direction is during the Scully period where he throws picks to the defense in the back end zone. That's the only time. And then he gets the team. So, yeah.
Let's count all the ways the Niners lack discipline this year.
We could just start with, we don't have enough time, but special teams. Just say that.
Just across the board.
Leave that over there.
I mean, the whole thing with Brandon Ayuk and the shorts, the Debo Samuel fight.
Come on, man.
The fact that they can't contain a mobile quarterback, letting Geno Smith beat you with a scramble.
The penalties, man. Geno Smith, Kyler Murray, first play of the game, 50 yards to the box. Like, what are we talking about?
Oh, no, I love Diamador Lenore, but him chirping after all these games, like on social media, like, dude, read the room. Your team isn't good. What is this? It's like, where's the head coach to be like, yo, we're not going to be this team. We're not going to be the team that's chirping like this. We haven't earned it. Let's lock in. Where's the coach?
I don't think that there's anything that they feel like they need to earn. Mm-hmm. What have they
keep saying everything's in front of them. They keep saying everything's in front of them. Like nothing. It's like whatever. They're 0-0.
Look, let me put it like this. What have they been bereft of? What has been taken away from them because they haven't won a Super Bowl? What?
Nothing.
Nothing. They get all of the spoils as if they are a Super Bowl. They're a Super Bowl winning team. The fan base. There's a faction of the fan base that already celebrates them as if they won already. You know,
the fact that they were able to sustain like second to fourth place level for 4 or 5 years in some fans' eyes is even better than having a Super Bowl.
A Super Bowl, yeah.
Winning
it once and then going back to kind of do it all over again. It's far less impressive to some fans by being able to just stay in purgatory and loiter around greatness for 4 to 5 years. Some fans are way more impressed with that than actually getting the job done. I understand that. And they play to that. There's like a lot of legacy provocateuring as well, where they will lynch themselves or kind of stand next to past success that they had nothing to do with as a franchise and almost lean on that when things go bad as if they know how to get things done. But the truth of the matter is that they haven't sealed the deal. They haven't closed out and they know it. And the thing about it is that one thing is that in years past that always made me at least, root for the team hard is that, okay, if they don't care about us, at least they care about each other. At least they have their backs with each other and they're circling the wagons and they're a team. Dude, now they're turning on each other. It's all about money, and that's one of the biggest things that I feel about this team is that they're entitled, a little bit delusional. They lack self-awareness and they don't want to share this experience with us. They think that we're just a foregone conclusion. They don't like when Coach Harbaugh was here, he shared the team. He shared the team with the fans. He made it feel like it was a collective effort. I don't feel like that with them.
And it's funny with Lynch saying this to me is like, this is ominous because what he could have said is, man, we're just injured. When we get healthy, we'll be back to where we were. He didn't say that. We lack discipline. So to me, if this team misses the playoffs, which they absolutely but they could, the number one thing they need to address this offseason, according to their general manager, is this. Not just healthying up. It's like, how come a team that's been together for 8 years suddenly lacks discipline? And if the answer is the head coach, I'm not saying that they're going to fire Kyle, but they're going to absolutely shake up that coaching staff. It's going to be a whole different thing next year. And I wonder what that looks like.
I think the biggest thing is going to be responsibilities, Grant, right? Kyle with the coordinator situation, them probably splitting up the draft duties, finding a new process with free agency.
Maybe he finally has to hire an offensive coordinator. Maybe they're like, look, dude, we need you to lock in and focus on being a head coach. Head coach.
I agree with
you. You can call the plays, but there's going to be an offensive coordinator here helping you game plan. And there's going to be a new assistant head coach, and he's going to be an offensive guy helping you game plan because you have way too much on your plate, man. We're going to take some off, and you're going to be better for that.
You lost us. And it's okay for them to look at Kyle and say, hey, man, you've lost us. Your voice isn't hitting right now. And in order for you to stay in the building, you need to make this a little bit more collaborative. We need to take some responsibility off your plate.
I like that. Austin Rodriguez says, I mean, I'd fire him, but I like that. Austin Rodriguez says, trying to think from Jed's perspective, you fire a prestigious guy like Kyle, you got to pick up a bigger name like Bill Belichick. Can we make it work? How? No, man,
you don't have to do that.
You just got to get the right guy.
Yeah.
You just got to get the right guy. Like the Eagles, they fired Doug Peterson, who had won a Super Bowl for them, their only Super Bowl ever. Just a few years after he won it, they determined he was not the guy. He was not the guy. And they bring in Nick Sirianni, who's no one freaking heard of. And say what you want, he was an upgrade. It was the right move for them. Anyway.
Yeah.
Ethan M says, what do you think of the new Kendrick album?
You know I love it. Yo, you don't like GNX?
I don't like Kendrick albums. I like Kendrick singles. I like Squabble Up. That's a dope song.
So you don't like
to
TVR?
Me, his albums, no. It has
like
a beat switch. It's got a beat. See, that's my thing with him. It's like got a beat switch. It's like you're trying so hard to get a 5 out of 5 in the Source, man, or to get a 9.9 in Pitchfork. To me, he's like the West Coast Jay-Z. It's like very much his albums are pandering to critics.
Disgusting.
Very much pandering to critics. And also like my personal taste. I grew up liking Mac Dre and Snoop, who were like two of the most nonchalant, effortless rappers of all time. And Kendrick is very like effortful. Like he kind of yelling and changing his voice, and he sounds like.
When's the last time Snoop has said anything of substance on the mic?
I'm talking about Snoop from like 1992 to 1994. I'm talking about when I was growing up. Like
when I was growing up.
That's that's the style of rapper I like the effortless, nonchalant dude, not the dude who's like, let me kind of growl into the mic and use my voice in all these different ways so that this critic from Pitchfork thinks I'm deep. I'm sorry, man. It's just not what I like.
Pitchfork had Sexy Red ranked over this album. So Pitchfork
I like Sexy Red.
All right, see, this is why we. So
literally,
sexy. You don't care about any nutritional value of food. You just music.
I like Squabble Up. I like Squabble Up. I have a Kendrick Lamar playlist. I like Kendrick. I think he makes some great music. I think he makes some music that's really overwrought.
I thought
that's the word I would use for him.
I thought that GNX was a good little 12 album, 12 track bop. A lot of the songs are a bop. I wouldn't say every song on there is a hitter.
It's very NorCali slappy, which I like.
Yeah.
I like that.
Another thing is that this is the truth. This is the thing about West Coast bias. Everybody from the West Coast loves to claim on West Coast bias, but as soon as something comes out that's a little too West Coast, it's like he's trying too hard. It's like, dude, own your label. Like, if I'm from the West Coast, I don't want to hear anything that quasi sounds like it comes from the West Coast. I want to hear West Coast music. So I like it. I like GNX.
All right, cool. Dave Barkley says, we suck so bad and people are good with it. Way to bring it back on point. Bill Kennedy says, how are your accommodation station? Airbnb, have you had buffalo wings yet? Food video coming. Okay. I'm in an Airbnb. I'm going to get buffalo wings for dinner, and I'll try to make a video. I think that would be the thing to do. So I'm going to do it. I'm over here on East Coast time. It's 1:31 over here. Yes. But I don't want to say where I'm going yet because I got, I don't want to get John Lennon out here. That was dark. Sorry. Official BNM Music 88 says rent due. Kyle is my daddy worked here, Kyle. Yeah, I feel like when Kyle has something to prove and he wants that extension, he's pretty freaking good. But there's been years where he's like, look, man, it ain't our year. No one's going to do anything to me about it. So you know what? Stop asking me why I'm not giving it to Jordan Mason. You know why? Because I don't care. Like, no, I don't know what it is. I'm not going to say he doesn't care. But
I don't know. I just feel like we're playing with one arm behind our back offensively. Yeah, it sucks to see the defense the defense. Have you felt like the defense has not used every last person think about the defense? They have used almost everybody they can to be able to play games. They've used everyone. There's nobody that you're saying, oh, so-and-so's not playing. Like, no, he don't got a choice. On offense, we're still having this conversation about, well, does Kyle want to play so-and-so? Does Kyle want to get this guy on the field? And it's at this stage, Grant, he's never going to change. This is who he is.
He's not even going to play just Jordan the way Mason, he is.
Bro. He's not going to play Jordan Mason tomorrow.
No, because that would be admitting that he was not right earlier. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's do some sleeper picks. Jordan Mason, where are you? Jordan. They don't even give you a Jordan Mason option anymore. That's so sad. Christian McCaffrey, you're up. Rushing yards for 60.5 for Christian.
That's more than his league average. He's averaging 49 a game.
I'm leaning towards less, fewer.
I mean, I guess fewer. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
more than his league average. That's more than his average.
Okay, George Kittle,
More,
45 and a
whatever it
half
is.
receiving yards. Yeah,
More.
Hell yeah. Agree with that. Having a great year.
He is
Jawan
having a good year.
Jennings, 52 and a half receiving yards in the snow.
Is Debo playing?
Yeah.
Less.
Yeah, I agree. Where are you, Debo? Okay, Debo.
Targets up. Whatever his targets
41 and a half, 41 and a half receiving yards.
Does he get any targets?
They don't have that. They have receptions.
They got receptions.
They do have
reception TDs.
No, they have receptions. 3.5.
More.
3.5. Okay.
No, 3.5 receptions?
Yeah.
Less.
He had one last game. You don't think he'll bounce back in the snow?
Bouncing back will be 2 receptions. Less. It's not happening, bro.
Damn. Okay. Here, let's get like a free one. Ricky Pearsall, receiving touchdown.
Less.
Yeah. That's what I love about Sleeper. They give you options like that. Like, oh, easy.
Less.
No brainer. Less. Josh Allen.
What about it?
229 and a half passing yards. Ugh.
I'd say less.
With no Bosa? With no Bosa?
He's running. Yeah. With no Bosa, he's going to be on his
Okay,
horse.
Let's do that then. 30 and a half rushing yards.
More.
Okay. I like that. And then we'll do one more. Keon Coleman. No, I don't want to do that one. I want to do James Cook. Rushing yards.
What's he got for rushing yards?
16 and a half.
I know.
It's 7. Who do they use now?
Is that?
They don't run the ball?
Hold on.
Whoa. Huh?
That doesn't seem right. James
Is it
Cook?
this guy? Yeah, man. They don't. What happened? What happened? All right, let's do James Cook though.
All right, James Cook.
They got in the snow. They got to give him the ball.
Yards. He's got 600 yards. He averages.
Oh, that was receiving yards. Sorry, I had a. My bad. Sorry.
What was the receiving yards again?
16 and a half. Rushing yards, 63 and a half.
I will go less for the rushing yards. He only averages 59 rushing yards a game. For the receiving yards, though, I will go more of 16. More.
All right.
Okay. Because they really have been using him in the red zone a lot.
Okay, I'm locking it in.
A lot. Yeah.
My current location, New York, does not allow contests. How about that? Hating on me.
It's ridiculous.
Why you wanna play a hate on me? Yeah.
Okay.
You don't know about that. Okay. You don't know about the loonies. You don't know about the loonies. Okay. That's what I would have picked. If you want to get in on this and you don't live in New York, download the Sleeper app and use promo code COHN. Okay. Second half of the show. Question for you. Okay. Why did the Niners waive Ronnie Bell now? This is something they could have done so long ago. And they waited until Friday after Thanksgiving. It was so mean and petty. Why would they do it? Hey, happy Thanksgiving, Ronnie. By the way, we didn't forget what you did week 3. You're gone. Why now? Or does it even matter? Who cares? Is it just like, you know what? Good luck, Ronnie Bell. All the best. No one ever's going to wear that number 10 jersey again. It's cursed.
Hey, man, look. Job, ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Finally, the Niners have made a move that we can all across the board agree upon. Ronnie, I am sorry. I'm sure you're a nice guy, but your time here has been diabolical. You have been the bane of our existence, wearing that 1 and 0 combined to bring us 10. And it's just really not your fault. You know, you kind of ran up against history.
You know what Brock Purdy's quarterback rating is when he's targeting Ronnie Bell this season?
Talk to me.
5.6. 5.6.
Jesus. Look, I'll tell you this. It was time for Ronnie to go. I'm sorry, Ronnie. You know, brought in as a special teams guy / slot guy. And the truth is that he's not utilized well what Kyle Shanahan wants him to do. He doesn't have a lot of ball skills, and he's put in positions where his ball security is like key. And there's always something going on with Ronnie Bell. I think that go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I just think that just for the sake of his career, I don't think his career is over. And I don't think he's horrible, but
yeah,
his the narrative of his career is just it's too close to like blunders and vulnerabilities. I don't think that there's any way that his cachet could have got built any more than what it was here. And he's never going to get a role where he'll be able to sustain himself and get enough reps where he can kind of like not make mistakes. He is one of those guys like a Ray McLeod before, or like maybe like what's the kid Kendrick Bourne, where he's not going to see a lot of balls, but when you do get him, you better do your level best not to screw it up. And I think that he's ran out of chances with us. I was glad to see it happen.
There's a lot of pressure on him, and I think he'd been blamed for I think the Niners feel like he lost week 3 against the Rams. Yes. And this is a team where they're one game back in the division. If they miss the playoffs, it's probably going to be because of one of these losses in the division. And like the one against the Rams might have been the worst because they had Ronnie Bell deep, and if he had just caught the ball, they'd be in field goal range. And he dropped it. It was right. It hit him in the hands. So I could see them sort of never forgiving him for that. And of course, Kyle Shanahan is not going to blame himself if they miss the playoffs. So it's retroactively Ronnie Bell's fault. And I'd be interested to see if he ends up getting claimed by like the Chargers, considering he did play at Michigan under Jim Harbaugh. And there'd be no pressure on him there.
Yeah, he needs to go somewhere where they know who he is. Somebody's going to be able to put their arm around him, and he can kind of resurge his career. Not to say that
with a different number.
Bad. Yeah, definitely get rid of that 10, dude. You got to get rid of that 10. I think that was kind of like the chef's kiss on everything. Like every time he screwed up, we had to look at that number. He did start off fast though. I want to shoot him some bail. When Ronnie Bell first got here, how they were using him, he was showing immediate production. It's just that he just kind of got lost in the wash, and
he gets open.
I will say this. It does.
He just can't catch the ball.
It sucks for players who are rhythm based, right? And I can't talk like that because I played offensive line. So my entire game is rhythm based. I play 60 snaps a game. But for a lot of these guys, where they're coming from schools or they're coming from programs where they get reps, they're on the field, they get to feel their way
blocking.
Exactly. There's something about football where even though they may not be getting the ball, they're still playing football. A lot of these guys don't do well when they get in the pro atmosphere and they have to sit on the sideline and kind of keep themselves warm and just be ready at all times. And if there was anything, I see that in a lot of players on our team. I see that in Jordan Mason, but I also see it in Ronnie Bell. He's not a plug and play guy. You got to,
and it's so unfair to use a guy like that. It's like, hey, Ronnie, we haven't used you in a year and a half, but we got some injuries today, and we're going to throw a deep pass to you in the fourth quarter with the game on the line. You're going to be open, catch it. It's kind of like saying, like, hey, man, in basketball, like 12th man on the bench, we never use you, but we got to use you tonight, and it's the fourth quarter in crunch time, and we're going to draw up a play for you in the corner, hit the three. It's like, he could be wide freaking open, and he's going to miss that shot. He's cold. And then you're going to be like, you bum. Like, well, maybe if you'd like actually get me into the flow of the game, give me some shots around the rim, you could count on me to make that shot. I think that's kind of the place that Ronnie Bell got put.
I mean, that's the conversation I literally had about Jordan Mason yesterday when there was a comments about him not being trusted on the field because he has turnover issues. It's about feel. It's about reps. It's about feeling the game. A lot of guys aren't plug and play guys where they can just get called in and immediately perform. Now, I get it. They get paid to do that. So let's start there. They get paid to do that. But that's not the human element. That's not the way it usually goes down. One thing I will say is that Ronnie Bell is not a bad player. But he was bad for us. We got to keep it 100. So he got to go. And at this stage, I wish him luck. See him across the sidelines. And it would be our karma to be playing a game and Ronnie Bell sticks it to us with some type of gotta have it play where he gets a good punt return or gets a big catch. And we're all going to be sitting there like, whoa, you sure as hell waited and saved it for a good time.
Watch him go to the Rams. Ethan M says it only cost Grant $2 to start singing Sexy Red. I like Sexy Red. What is wrong with her?
There's nothing wrong with Sexy Red. It's just that, I'm just not a fan of her music, bro. I'm not a fan of Sexy Red.
Okay, fair enough. I like a quote unquote ignorant rapper that makes good singles. Like there's always a place in my heart for someone like that. She makes good singles. She makes good hooks. She has good beats. She's got connections in the industry. I'm a fan. I have a Sexy Red playlist, and it's about 6 or 7 songs in that. And I listen to it sometimes when I'm feeling extra sexy. Dale says the correct phrase would be, is Devo in the game, not is he playing? Devo.
True. Diva.
Devo. Juan Mendoza says 10 needs to be removed from being picked. They should retire the number and not attribute it to anyone. Okay. All right. What does Kyle Shanahan need to do to keep his job? Assuming, well, no, I mean, like, is it a certain amount of wins he needs to have this year? Is it just making the playoffs? Is it some type of adjustment he makes to his team or his staff this offseason? Like, or is it absolutely nothing? Can he just say, hey, injuries, run it back?
No, I do believe there's a wall there. The money's got to come from somewhere. Fortunately, I just don't believe that it's purely football. I do believe that Kyle's job would officially be in jeopardy if he did not make the playoffs. I think that would start after this year. He's definitely not getting fired after this year, even though you and I have talked ad nauseum that if you were going to do it, rip the Band-Aid off. He's done enough to have a year.
Yeah, go get Ben Johnson while he's available.
You better. But you look at him moving forward, I would have to say missing the playoffs would be the official, hey, you're on the hot seat. That would be the misnomer. Also, getting to the playoffs and losing in the first round, I think that would buy him one more year. But if he did it the very next year, he'd be on the hot seat again. So really, net, I'm giving Kyle 2 solid years. He's going to get 2 years. And in one of those years, they're going to be looking for any type of success to be able to kind of run back the hands of time. So I don't think they want to fire him. But I do believe that there's different factions within the organization group, i.e. Jed, John, and his mother, where they all think together, but they don't think alike. And I believe that some thought processes are more important than others. And that's when I believe that Kyle would definitely be, shown the door. So I would give Kyle 2 years of failure. And the only reason why he would get 2 years, because I think it would take the Yorks 2 years to kind of get an answer together on what they believe. But if he doesn't show consistent losing over 2 years, guys, I believe Kyle could be here for a long time. If Kyle kind of just, hey, playoffs this year, we win for 2 years, go to the playoffs, win one game, get ousted, but not necessarily like a contending team for the Super Bowl. If he could do just that, I could see Kyle here for another 8 years.
Yeah, to me, I think the model here that the Niners could look to is Philly. So last year, Philly lost the Super Bowl, come back, and they really tanked down the stretch, and they can't win any games, and they're kind of embarrassed, and people are looking at Nick Sirianni like, man, have you lost the locker room? Have they already tuned you out? And before making a rash decision and saying, yes, he's lost his locker room, look at how the season ended, they gave him a chance to sort of get all new coordinators. Like, look, this didn't work. So if you want to bring in new D coordinator, new offensive coordinator, like this is your last chance. So whoever you want, is it Vic Fangio? Who is it? And it worked. So maybe what the Niners say is, look, like Kyle is taking too much on himself. He's got himself probably his weakest coaching staff. The 2024 49ers were his weakest coaching staff. Tell him like you need a new assistant head coach, special teams coordinator, defensive coordinator, and maybe even an offensive coordinator too. And you can take whoever you want. We'll pay for him, man. Whoever the hell you want. Mike Vrabel, Robert Saleh, get him. And no more excuses. You got your quarterback. You got your coaching staff. We want to see you bounce back the way Nick Sirianni did. Is that a reasonable way to go about it?
Okay.
Because your team lacks discipline. Your team lacks discipline, Kyle, and John Lynch said so.
I'll tell you this. I think that's cool. But let me ask you this, Grant. I see that you say that we've seen like, hey, 2024 49ers worst coaching staff. Man, outside of what Kyle brought in here in 2017, the coaching staff has just gotten gradually diluted. It's not like we had bad coaches, then Kyle resurged the coaching staff, and then more coaches had exoduses and they went and no.
Real quick, I would just say that the step down from Wilkes to Sorensen and the step down from Anthony Lynn to Brandon Staley is significant. I can't prove it.
Yeah, but
I think they miss Anthony Lynn.
Okay, but what I would say is that Anthony Lynn
and Clint Kubiak to Clay Kubiak. That's the last one.
Okay. And I would also say that Anthony Lynn from Mike McDaniels and Steve Wilkes from DeMeco Ryans
Correct.
That's Correct. My point. It's still a step down.
I agree with
right?
you.
He's been
Yep.
stepping down year after year after year, but the names
True.
have been have enough they have enough weight around them for us not to really understand exactly what's happening. But Anthony Lynn isn't Mike McDaniel, and
Well, real
Steve
quick,
Wilkes
real
isn't
quick. Like,
D'Amico Ryans.
like if Nick Sirianni had been like on the hot seat and he brought in Brandon Staley, people be laughing at him like that's
They
the
would be
guy who's
laughing
gonna
at him. Yeah.
laughing. What he went out and did is get Vic freaking Fangio. So I want to see Kyle stop messing around, dude. Stop bringing out these like BC level coaches who failed that you can be like, oh man, I'll put my arm around you and I'll like revive your career. Like, no, dude, bring in someone who's legitimately good. Robert Saleh,
Also,
whomever.
also being able to bring in great coaches kind of shows your pull professionally as a coach. Anybody can get players because the truth of the matter is that players sign with teams for a lot of different reasons. And a lot of times it ain't the damn coach, being honest with you. It's the money, it's the situation, it's the scheme, it's geographically where they'll get to be at. All things matter when we talk about players playing with teams. If I'm Deebo Samuel and Trent Williams, what else am I going to tell you about Kyle? That's the man who signed off changing my life for generations. I'm always going to tell you that Kyle's the guy. But when you really get to see what type of dude Kyle is, it's the guys who want to go work with him. The guys who want to sign up under him and say, I'll put up with you day to day. I'll help you win because I know it's going to help all of us. You even looked at Coach Wilkes. We all knew that Coach Wilkes came here because he was here for upward movement. He had been ousted 2 years in a row before he had got here, and he was here for San Francisco to up his career. So that wasn't a I respect Kyle move. Coach Wilkes was
Can I say something real quick about that too?
Go.
I mean, the fact that he went here for upward movement and got scapegoated and fired has to be scary for next potential. It's like, wait a second, man. Like, oh, am I going to be the scapegoat there too? I mean, it's not fair what they did to Steve Wilkes. I'm not sure I can even do as well as Steve did. 17 and a half points per game. I'd be proud of that.
Grant, I said this. I'll never find the show. But when Wilkes was getting scapegoated last year, I said, you know what? This is not going to be a good look for Kyle moving forward. Everybody thinks that scapegoating that man is cool, but there were a lot of coaches. Now, I'm going to just be honest with you guys. I came from a HBCU, a historically Black college university, okay? So there is a faction of coaches that I look at as mentors of mine that are Black coaches that have gone through in college ranks and in pro ranks. And I'm going to tell you, we all look after our own, so to speak. And Coach Wilkes is very well respected, not only in the coaching community, but in the Black coaching community. And when he got disrespected
was he at HBCU?
Yeah, before.
Okay.
And when Coach Wilkes got disrespected and scapegoated by the Niners, there wasn't anybody pulling a race card or anything, but it was noticed. And it left a really bad taste in everybody's mouth. And I'm going to tell you, man, like moving forward, coaches look at that and say, man, I'm not going over there for San Francisco. Before, it was good for cachet. You get next to Kyle, you get to play in the playoffs, you get your name out there, and then you can go eat shit for a year or two and then go on about your business. But now you see them, they're eating their own over there. Like you see a guy like Coach Wilkes that has that defense, they go from 3 to 6 and he gets
1 to 3. 1 to 3. That's where they went from.
Sorry, 1 to 3. Yeah, and he gets scapegoated the way that he did. Like, there's no way in hell that I'm working for them over there. On top of the fact that you can see how different coaches get paid. You see how different coaches get paid over there. And then even the pay scale is weird over there. You've got some of the highest paid assistant coaches over there on top of some of the lowest paid assistant coaches over there. And a guy like Coach Kasarik, where he can make $1 million a year. All right. More money than Coach Forrester, who doesn't even get the dogs. All right. But then you can have a receivers coach in Leonard Hakerson, who's making pennies on the dollar. And then we wonder why our receiving core never really churns out anything inside of this offense. There's holes in this coaching staff, and it starts with Kyle.
DH donates $1. Thank you very much. Official BNM Music 88 says, I said, oh, baby. Kyle, I love you. I don't need a ring. David L. when nobody is looking. Man, I didn't know the song. I didn't know the tune. Sorry, but I liked it. Brother Bob says exactly no more damn excuses. Get out the feels. Okay, I want to switch it up a little bit. We've been talking about we usually only talk Niners. I want to talk NFL in general, and I want to talk about the best story in football this season. I think the Niners are up there. Like no one quite understands why they're underperforming, and it's an interesting story. But I think the best story in football is the Lions. They've been the best team in football pretty much all season. Doesn't mean they'll win the Super Bowl, but to now, they've been the best team pretty much from the beginning of the season to now. And I feel like they're what the Rams could have been. And that's what's so interesting about them. Like, their general manager came from the Rams, Brad Holmes. Their general manager drafted Aaron Donald, Todd Gurley, and Jared Goff. And the Rams thought that McVay was a superstar, and maybe he is. They didn't think Brad Holmes was worth keeping. Like, clearly Brad Holmes and Sean McVay disagreed about Goff. Because it seemed like McVay blamed Goff for everything. Their first Super Bowl loss, whenever things didn't go well, it was Goff's fault. And the guy who drafted him goes to Detroit, and the first thing he does is trade for Goff and also get 2 first-round picks, which become, they trade around and they get Jahmyr Gibbs and Sam Laporta. So there's a bizarro world where Brad Holmes is the GM of the Rams, and McVay is coaching Goff still and getting along, and they have Jahmyr Gibbs and Sam Laporta.
And they're loaded.
And they're loaded. And it's like, okay, but they won that one Super Bowl with Stafford. Yeah. But that year they also had Odell Beckham Jr. and Cooper Kupp, who wasn't in the first Super Bowl that they lost, and Von Miller. And it's possible that Jared Goff could have won the Super Bowl with them that year. I mean, it's like they were dominant. They needed the Niners to choke in the NFC Championship game, and then they played Cincinnati. So you did this all-in move to win one Super Bowl when it wasn't necessarily necessary. We don't know. We'll never know. And now you're like doomed to a future of mediocrity. Like, they're the Lions. They're the team the Lions were with Stafford forever. 5-6, 7-8. Whereas the freaking Lions are the team that the Rams used to be and could have still been. So that's interesting to me. I mean, the Rams are going freaking nowhere. And that's what they wanted. That's what they traded for.
Yeah, and I will say that if you're Brad Holmes, things are a little bit disingenuous. I mean, they started with the whole mantra, fuck them picks. Right. They went hardcore into basically mortgaging their future for a Super Bowl win. And I'm going to be honest with you.
I wonder if that was Holmes or if that was the McVay thing. Like, you know what I mean?
That I'm trying to make. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, you sit here and you could say, because he's in the driver's seat, that he's the one running the directions. But that type of mantra is something that, number one, I know GMs do not rock with, because that's basically mortgaging their future and their power as a GM. But also, it seems like that's also a track that coaches would love to do, because that's like, dude, give me the best now, immediately. I do not care. We're here to beat the competition that's here in front of us, which really doesn't lend to building teams. You look at Jared Goff and what he's done, what he's been able to do under Ben Johnson versus Sean McVay, and he's a better quarterback under Ben Johnson. You just got to give it up. Offensively, they seem to know exactly how to use him in Detroit versus in the Rams. He was put in a lot of precarious situations where, honestly, if they didn't have a run game, he was done for. Sean McVay, I mean, I know that he gets a lot of bail because he wins, and he won early, and he was smart to win early and push it and put the pedal to the metal. But my biggest thing is that, hey man, guests and fish take 3 days old before they start to turn rotten. And it's like, you've gotten 3 years since this last Super Bowl, dude. You better
20 and 25 since then. 20 and 25 since the Super Bowl. They haven't won a playoff game. Like, that's what Stafford was mired in Detroit forever. And everyone was like, well, it's not Stafford's fault. It's the organization. Like, yeah, sure. But now that, like, that's what the Rams are. And it's like, if you look at the Rams and the Niners, they're similar because McVay and Kyle maybe have more power than any two coaches in the league. They're the dictators of their teams. And their teams are both 5-6 right now. Whereas the Lions, who are the best team in the league, at least right now, have a strong general manager, a head coach that doesn't call plays, and two of the best coordinators in football. I mean, it's a very regimented organization. It's different than these two.
Yeah, and I think that them being able to hold on to all of the cards right now is, in my way, it's a form of obfuscation, right? It's a form of cloaking the truth in plain sight, where, hey, I get to be the OC, the head coach, the
general manager,
the game manager. Yep. You know what I'm saying? The game manager. I get to do all of that. And while you look at me, you don't ever get to know what hat I'm wearing at the moment, but you just know I'm busy, right? But The reason why we pass out and dole out job descriptions and jobs is, number one, so you can keep everybody in their fair place, but then also so you can know how to adequately put the results on whose job it was to get things done. Case in point, we got to start looking at some more Sean McVay stuff, but there may be some talking as a head coach and talking as an offensive coordinator within the same question. We know that Kyle does that a lot. And basically it's based on, how do I need to evade this question so I can give you 10,000 foot view jargon without getting into the weeds. And, I'll tell you this, when the rubber meets the road, Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan are going to have to put together succinct teams in order to move forward, because right now, I don't think that they're the sexy names anymore. Dan Campbell's coming. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the Lions are coming. It's LaFleur's time. I think the Packers are coming.
And with the Rams, like, people were like, okay, well, they're going all in. They know they know it's an older team and they're going to have to reload after they win this Super Bowl. But as long as they draft well, they'll be fine. Yeah, but they don't have Brad Holmes anymore. It's Sean McVay's team. So, they'll hit on some picks. Puka Nacua was good, but ultimately their roster is mid as hell now, dude. Like,
they've always been mid on defense too, dog.
They have no linebackers. They never have linebackers. They're slow on offense. Cooper Kupp is slow. Puka Nacua is slow. Kyron Williams isn't explosive. Like, they're just a methodical, mediocre team. And you know what? The Niners are like that too. Like, Jawan Jennings, George Kittle, great,
though, right?
But they're just not. They're not explosive anymore. And for all Malik Mustafa, great pick. Ricky Pearsall, maybe not. I mean, how many first round picks do the Niners just get nothing out of? So I think the Rams are kind of instructive, because they've always been a couple of years ahead of the Niners. And if the Niners aren't careful, they'll be the Rams.
If
they give Kyle too much power?
True. What unit on the Rams is the equivalent of the 49ers offensive line?
They're linebackers.
Yeah. Underutilized. Yes. That most important, but they don't draft them. They don't go get guys for them. They'll get one guy just to say that they have a linebacking core, but everybody else is a jag, just a guy. They don't do enough to actually be a force multiplier at that position at all.
And one more thing, like, if you're going to have a coach for 8 years, 10 years, 15 years, there's got to be more than just scheme. You can't just be a scheme guy, because you won't be cutting edge for 15 years. You might be cutting edge for 5. I think we saw that with Kyle and McVay. Like, they were certainly cutting edge for 5 years. Is either one cutting edge anymore? Not this year. No, absolutely not.
The guard is changing, and they're not.
Yes,
and they're not keeping up. They're not fighting.
No.
To keep up. That's one thing that you respected about the older coaches, like Sean Payton and Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick and Norv Turner and Marty Schottenheimer. Some of those old school coaches where everybody had their MO, like what they love to do. Like, Norv was going to give you that West Coast. We always know what we're going to get out of guys, right? But one thing that I always loved seeing about them is that the wrinkles and the things that they did from year in to year out to move the game forward, to push the game forward. And you don't see that, with Bill Belichick. I remember even Bill Belichick being a defensive guy. It was him who went out to Oregon and sat down and learned the RPO so he could bring that back to the offense, started up with double tight formations, just things that you see in the league that you think, man, like, you guys are really working. I don't see that out of Kyle and Sean anymore.
I think what's interesting is, like, both of these guys may have kind of run out of fresh ideas a few years ago. And McVay's last great idea was, well, I don't know if it was a great idea, but it was get Matt Stafford and ride him as far as you can. And then with Kyle, it was get Christian McCaffrey and just spam him as much as you can. But like, now those things aren't winning you games anymore. It's like, what do you got left?
And for context, sorry, Grant, for context, you know what's crazy? One of the motivators for getting Christian McCaffrey didn't even really start until we realized that the Rams wanted him.
Yep.
And we were trying to keep him away from the Rams.
That's correct. So here's my thing. So if the Niners and the Rams are kind of like sister teams, and we saw what McVay did as he got more and more power and more of an ego, he blamed his failures on the quarterback and eventually traded him for a quarterback who was older and maybe more ready to win. Who knows? Is that possible that Kyle could do the same thing? You know, they missed the playoffs this year, and he goes to management and says, look, Brock's good, but we're never going to win a Super Bowl with him. Why don't we trade him right now for Matthew Stafford? Or
oh no, my God.
You know what I'm saying?
But yeah.
Like, I don't know who it is, but like someone who's like 10 years older, 15 years older, who's technically a little bit better right now and technically might give the Niners a little bit better chance to win the Super Bowl next year. Just like McVay did with Goff. I mean, Stafford is 7 years older than Goff, and they made that trade.
Well, that's what scares me about our organization, because it's not about Kyle, in my opinion. It's not about Sean McVay. It's the owners. It's the Yorks. Do the Yorks know how to go find their guy? Do the Yorks know this organization, and do they know how to go find somebody that they can learn from Kyle, right? The intellectual property that Kyle has given us, it's in the building. It's not going anywhere. If Kyle was to listen, I'm here to tell you this right now. If you think that the DNA of Andy Reid is still not in Philly to this day, and how they run their practices and how they scout and the reason why they care so much about offensive line in Philly is because of Andy Reid. So listen, there's a lot that Kyle has taught us to streamline us, to bring us up to speed, but we don't need him to push us into the next phase of the NFL.
If he's going down, if he's indeed on the hot seat, if they miss the playoffs and they say, you need to turn this around, you got one more year, I wonder if Kyle would be willing to go down with Purdy. Or if he says, if I'm going down, I'm getting the quarterback I wanted since day one. And that's Kirk. Everyone knows. Everyone knows I wanted Kirk. I wanted Kirk in 2017. I wanted him in 2018. They keep deferring it. I keep going along with their guy. But if they're really going to put me on the hot seat like that, I'm getting my guy. Yeah, he's 37 years old. I don't care. I mean, he could say like, look, Brock's younger, but he's got shoulder issues or whatever, throwing arm issues. At least Kirk Cousins has like the real deal of an arm. I want this. And it may not work, but I could see Kyle Shanahan. That would be his final move.
Grant, if Kyle did that, then he's cooked for real.
Mm-hmm.
If he's cooked for real. Like honestly, look at it this way. If Kyle did that, then that lets me know that his ingenuity is completely gone. You know, you're not even trying to grow. You're not even thinking about moving on. If you think that a 37-year-old Kirk Cousins is going to run back the hands of time and give you hypothetically what you thought you were going to get, you haven't even seen this in real like cases. Then
because that's kind of like what Robert Saleh tried to do with Aaron Rodgers. Like, hey, old ass Aaron Rodgers, come save my bacon. Like, no, that's not going to work. That
shit ain't going to work. Exactly.
It's not gonna work.
Honestly, if Kirk Cousins gets floated, if I was the Yorks and Kyle even floated that, I'd be ready to move him.
Yeah, like, all right, that's not what I wanted. That's exactly what we were afraid to hear. Thank you very much. Good luck doing that somewhere else.
I was smiling, nod. I'd say, all right, Kyle, go ahead and try to get some meetings together. But on the back end, we're moving his ass. No, he's gone.
Yeah. Call up Ben Johnson right now. What is it going to take? 15 million a year?
Go.
Yeah. Brother Bob says, he says, Eaglet, when are we doing the Kyle Levy debate or what? Let me get back to you when I get in town. Silky Smooth Smithers says, not healthy over here. If Kyle is here, well, damn. Well, damn. Deshaun DeVoe says Aaron Rodgers 2025 LOL. No. He needs to retire.
Yeah, it's time for A-Rod to sit his narcissistic ass down. I don't want to hear about you anymore talking about ayahuasca. You know what it is? I hate quarterbacks, and I'm going to tell you why. It's because the position is way overblown. They're not fighter pilots. They're not brain surgeons. The quarterbacks get way too much credit for no reason. Like, and you're
going on your Kyle Shanahan rant.
Huh?
You're going on your Kyle Shanahan rant right now. He feels the same way. Keep going.
Yeah, dude. And honestly, you see these guys touching into other areas of life that have nothing to do with their expertise of knowing how to call a play and throw a football. Ayahuasca. And let's talk about politics. And shut up and get under center. Shut up.
Silky Smooth Smithers says, Yorks are dorks, no leaders, no. Wow. I'm not saying that, but thank you for the $2 trying to get me in trouble. All right, man, it's time for me to do my work and go experience what Buffalo has to offer.
You about to freeze your ass off.
Can't wait. I did not dress appropriately. Like now I'm like, oh, I needed a beanie and some earmuffs and gloves and a parka. And I brought none of that. I brought a trench coat. It was not
Don't get sick, dude. That weather's for real out there. It'll cut through you.
Yeah. I'm just gonna go from inside to Uber to inside to Uber to inside. I'm never actually walking more than 30 seconds outside. I'm not built for that.
All right, brother. You got you a North Face? Get you a North Face jacket.
I'm going to go do it. Thanks for watching, everyone. Coach, great stuff.
Love it, man.
Peace.